What kind of dose? What are we aiming for?
Low dose.
In terms of zinc?
5, 10, 15, not high dose.
Gotcha.
Because we're supplementing what the diet already gives you. You're not getting none in your diet. We're just trying to put people in an optimal sweet spot. I'm not into high dose supplementation. It's not the more, a little is good, a lot is better. You know what I mean? I'd say 10 would be a probably good, 10 milligrams would be a good dose.
Right. So it sounds like if you're talking about zinc, we spoke about B12. I'm getting the feeling that you would be an advocate for some type of multivitamin plus a DHA EPA supplement for someone that's eating this way.
Yes, and of course, to be transparent, I have my own brand of multivitamins that I designed from people who follow my healthy way of eating, so that I know that they know what I want them to do supplementally to fill those little gaps, you know?
What would you say to someone who just pushes back and says, that can't be healthy, getting all these nutrients in a supplement? That's synthetic.
Well, I feel bad for them that they're going to take risks with themselves and people who they advise if they're a leader in this field, because they're taking risks with people's lives. There's too much evidence. You know, I really been very lucky and have had a great career being able to help people. And so people who say, oh, well, people just trying to make money selling supplements, and they're trying to say, well, if the nutrients are not in food, they're not good for you, and the food gives you a complex matrix that you can't duplicate with a synthetic. And that's just oversimplification and not true. You know, there are some nutrients that we get in phytochemicals, yes. Sulforaphane, indole-3-carbinol, nutrients that we get from cruciferous vegetables are fragile, and we don't want to take isolated carotenoids. So they can make that argument with some nutrients, but they can't make the argument, oh, because it's not good to take beta-carotene extracted from a food. We want to take it in the full complex of 100 carotenoids to get the full benefit. So why should we be extracting zinc or this from a food? Just because it's right with regard to carotenoids doesn't make it right with regard to a mineral that's important for human immunosenescence and neurological senescence too, like zinc and DHA. You know what I mean? So you can't just make a blanket because something philosophically is right in one area doesn't mean it's right across the board. We still have to look at the overwhelming accumulation and the preponderance of evidence and do what's safest for individuals. And multivitamins have a lot of bad things in them that could hurt people too. That's why I originally got into advising people on what supplements they should take, because traditional multivitamins contain folic acid, which I agree, and beta-carotene, and vitamin A, and vitamin E, which in isolated forms don't behave the same way in the synthetic forms and isolated forms don't behave like the full matrix of those nutrients in food. And the taking of some of those nutrients like folic acid, which is synthetic, it's not the same as folate, can increase risk of breast and prostate cancer. And vitamin A can increase risk.
Is that clear, that evidence? Because I have seen people debate that.
Yes, I think there's too much evidence with regard to the dangers of synthetic folic acid. And I don't know how that can be debated unless the person is not aware of all the data that we have collected on that subject. You know, today, if they're just denying all the data, are they suggesting that real folate found in green vegetables and beans isn't as good as taking a synthetic we make from petroleum? And if we're eating a healthy diet with vegetables and beans and our levels of folate are already up above the normal range, do you think taking extra is still good for us when we're already getting a high amount? It's clearly almost, an argument that can't be sustained, or the people think to take a pill to get folic acid better than eating the right foods to get folate from. So with regard to this idea of food as our best source of nutrients, I'm agreeing with that. And in most cases, it's true that we shouldn't be taking a synthetic version. But certain minerals and certain things doesn't fit across the board, being correct in every case, of course.
So where does the Nutritarian diet come in? At what stage of your career did you come up with that? And as a dietary philosophy, we haven't explained it yet, so perhaps you could spend a minute and help us understand what the Nutritarian diet is all about.
Well, when I started writing books, and my second book was Eat to Live, and in Eat to Live, I discussed the nutrient density of food. And I discussed that plant foods, especially green vegetables and other colorful plant foods, have more of the 36 nutrients that the U.S. government keeps track of and measures. That even standard nutrients like vitamins and minerals, these plant foods have very high amounts compared to processed foods or animal products. That animal products are not a rich source of nutrients, and they compare to plants.